We've all been there. That moment when the weight of the world seems to rest on your shoulders, and you feel like you're carrying a burden too heavy to bear. The weight of debt pressing down, making it hard to breathe, hard to think, hard to see a way out. Bills piling up on the counter, each one a reminder of the financial hole you're in. It feels like a never-ending cycle with no light at the end of the tunnel. That feeling of dread when the phone rings, knowing it's another creditor, another demand for money you don't have. You know it's about money, and it's not good. That was me. Every call was a reminder of my financial struggles, a constant source of anxiety. Stuck in a cycle of spending and borrowing, trying to make ends meet but never quite succeeding. It was a vicious cycle that seemed impossible to break. Living paycheck to paycheck, never getting ahead. Each month was a struggle to cover the basics, with nothing left over for emergencies or savings. Credit card debt, student loans, car payments, it all added up. The stress was unbelievable. It felt like I was drowning in a sea of debt with no lifeline in sight. My credit score was a disaster. It was a constant reminder of my financial failures, a barrier to any hope of getting ahead. I felt trapped, like there was no way out. The future seemed bleak, and I couldn't see a path forward. It felt like I was drowning, and the worst part was, I felt alone. It was a lonely, isolating experience, and I didn't know where to turn for help. But I knew I couldn't stay there. I had to find a way out, for my own sake, and for the sake of my family. I had to make a change. My family deserved better. I deserved better. I wanted to be a role model for my children, to show them that it's possible to overcome adversity. It was time to take back control of my finances and my life. I started by creating a budget, tracking every penny and cutting out unnecessary expenses. This is the story of how I finally broke free from the chains of debt. It wasn't easy. It took time, effort, and a lot of discipline. There were times when I wanted to give up. The journey was long and hard, and there were many setbacks along the way. But I kept reminding myself why I started this journey. I kept my goals in mind and stayed focused on the end result. I wanted a better future for myself and my family. I wanted to provide them with security and peace of mind, and I knew that if I could do it, anyone could. It took hard work and determination, but it was worth it. Now I'm debt-free and living a life of financial freedom, and you can too. notepad and started tracking every dollar. It was eye-opening. Turns out those daily lattes were adding up, as were the impulse buys and subscriptions I barely used. Armed with this newfound knowledge, I created a budget that prioritized needs over wants. Was it exciting? Not exactly. Was it necessary? Absolutely. This budget became my roadmap to freedom, guiding my spending and saving decisions. It wasn't about deprivation, it was about making conscious choices with my money. Section 4, slashing expenses, living lean and mean. Remember those lattes? Gone. Those impulse buys? History. To free up cash, I had to get serious about cutting expenses. And I mean everything. I became a master of frugality, clipping coupons, negotiating bills, and finding free entertainment. Eating out less was a big one. I rediscovered my love for cooking and saved a ton of money in the process. Did I miss my daily dose of barista-made caffeine? Sure. But I missed being in debt even more. Every dollar I saved was a victory, a step closer to my goal. It wasn't always glamorous, but it was effective. I learned that living frugally wasn't about deprivation. It was about prioritizing what truly mattered. Section 5, Side Hustle Power, Boosting My Income. This chapter is all about how I took control of my financial situation by finding creative ways to increase my income. It wasn't just about cutting back on expenses. It was about finding new streams of revenue that could help me pay off my debt faster and build a more secure financial future. Cutting expenses was essential, but I knew I needed to increase my income to really accelerate my debt payoff. So, I got creative. I started by reviewing all my bills and expenses to see where I could save, but I quickly realized that saving alone wouldn't be enough. I needed to bring in more money. I tapped into my skills and interests to find ways to make extra money. Weekends were spent freelancing, taking on projects that matched my expertise. I found that there were plenty of opportunities out there if I was willing to look for them. From writing and graphic design to consulting and virtual assistance, I explored various freelance gigs that could fit into my schedule. Evenings were for online surveys. While they didn't pay much individually, the cumulative effect of completing multiple surveys added up over time. It was an easy way to make some extra cash while watching TV or relaxing at home. I signed up for several survey sites and made it a habit to complete a few each night, and I even sold some unused stuff online. I went through my closets, garage, and storage spaces to find items I no longer needed or used. From old electronics and clothes to furniture and collectibles, I listed everything on various online marketplaces. It was surprising how much money I could make from things that were just collecting dust. It wasn't always easy juggling multiple gigs on top of my regular job. There were times when I felt exhausted and overwhelmed, but I kept reminding myself of my financial goals. I created a schedule to manage my time effectively and made sure to take breaks when needed to avoid burnout. But the extra cash flow was a game changer. Seeing my savings account grow and being able to make larger payments on my debt was incredibly motivating. It gave me a sense of accomplishment and reinforced the idea that my hard work was paying off. It allowed me to make bigger debt payments, which kept me motivated and on track. Each payment brought me one step closer to financial freedom. I created a visual chart to track my progress, and every time I made a payment, I marked it off with a sense of pride and satisfaction. Every extra dollar I earned fueled my determination. It was a constant reminder that I was in control of my financial destiny. I started to see money differently, not just as something to spend, but as a tool to achieve my goals. It was proof that hard work and a little ingenuity could go a long way. And you know what? I discovered a hidden talent for hustling. I became more confident in my ability to find and create opportunities. It was empowering to know that I could take charge of my financial situation and make a real difference. I discovered a hidden talent for hustling. I learned new skills along the way, from marketing and sales to time management and negotiation. These skills not only helped me in my side hustles, but also in my regular job and personal life. It was a journey of growth and self-discovery. It felt good to be proactive and in control of my financial future. I realized that with determination, creativity, and hard work, I could achieve my financial goals and build a better life for myself. This experience taught me the value of perseverance and the importance of taking action. It was a challenging but rewarding journey, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Section 6, the Snowball Effect, tackling debt with gusto. With a solid budget, leaner expenses, and extra income, it was time to attack my debt head-on. I chose the snowball method, starting with my smallest debt and working my way up. Why? Because I needed quick wins to stay motivated. Paying off that first debt, no matter how small, was exhilarating. It fueled my fire to tackle the next one. As my snowball grew, so did my confidence. There were setbacks, of course. Unexpected expenses popped up, testing my resolve. But I stayed focused, reminding myself of the end goal, financial freedom. With each payment, I could feel the weight lifting. It was like a huge burden was slowly being lifted from my shoulders. The snowball method wasn't just about paying off debt, it was about building momentum and belief in myself.